Good afternoon, and thank you, everyone, for joining today's NACTA webinar series. Today, our guests are Dan and Vicky. They are of Cruise Planners American Express Travel. They have been longtime NACTA supporters. I know that we have tons of members who are part of their company, and we hope that this is going to be a great training focus for those of you who are not Cruise Planner members to give a consideration to see what they can do for you as a host. Going to do a little bit of basic housekeeping. I want to remind everybody you are on mute. That is to prevent any background sounds to this recording. It is being recorded. I've hit the record button, and I will post this up on the NACTA YouTube channel at the end of the day. Tomorrow, you will be receiving an email message just giving you some information from Dan Hicks and Vicky Garcia, who are our guest speakers today, as well as a link to this webinar if you would like to watch it again. So for now, I am going to put myself on mute in case I forgot to mention it, because I often have people remind me I do. I'm Lorene Romero. I am your NACTA moderator. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box and I will get back to you. If you have questions for Vicky and Dan at the end, we will be happy to have a Q&A session if we have enough time. So for now, Dan, Vicky, I am turning the reins over to you, and I am going to put myself on mute. Thank you for being here, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to present.
Thank you so much, everybody. All the way, we're talking to you here from Coral Springs, Florida. I'll apologize in advance because we're freezing. It's only 69 degrees today, and we've got like 3/4 length sleeves on. Anyways, today we're going to talk a little bit about 2017 technology trends and how you can stay ahead of your competition. And we're going to share some of the things that we're doing at Cruise Planners that hopefully shed some light. So, yeah, that's my mug. Sorry about that. So, Vicky Garcia, I'm COO and one of the co-owners of Cruise Planners. We're an American Express travel representative. We are a franchisor. We've been in the business for over 22 years. Just had some great news today. We were named #1 in category with Entrepreneur Magazine, which is exciting for us.
14 years in a row.
14 years in a row, which is exciting. But again, enough of that stuff. Let's talk about some of the trends that are out there right now and some of the things that really you guys should be thinking of. And there's no easy way to do it on your own. So we're going to talk to you in the fact of what we do for our franchisees in terms of keeping up with these trends. And with that, obviously mobile applications, you're hearing about them a lot, but we're already in the space and have been for a couple of years of having both a consumer app. In other words, for our Cruise Planner franchisees, they have an app that their consumers can connect with them, and also a business app where a Cruise Planner agent can run their business via a mobile application. Social networking on the go, it's huge, especially in travel. We're always connected, almost too much, right? And in travel, people do want those bragging rights. People post pictures of their suite or of the beautiful fruit basket that their sales rep sent them, or their status and where they're going and what they've won or not won, etc. So social networking is huge. It's not going to go away. It's getting bigger and stronger and more important in your mix. Marketing in general, but we're talking to the next step is making sure we're using the data of your customers to make sure we're marketing to them at the right time with the right product, which is very important. And yes, becoming a detective. We're talking about being strategic with trends and looking at what your clients are buying from you, when they're buying it, and then giving you ideas of how to market back to them. And travel habits. Are they people that like adventure travel? And how are you customizing what you do for them? And we firmly believe at Cruise Planners that the future of travel is at the intersection of marketing and technology. You got to have both of those hand in hand to be successful and be part of the leader of the pack. So when you talk about mobile applications, again, you have either a consumer app, but you got to make sure your websites are mobile responsive. And it's a lot, and I'm not a techie, I'm a wannabe, as Dan likes to make fun of me, but you got to be in that space so that your clients look at you as being a professional and that you're with the cutting edge technology. And it's too hard to create it on your own. So if for nothing else, join a host that has some of these tools for you. Social networking on the go. We've put together programs in a portal that our agents, we can actually post for them on Facebook, let's say, or some of their other social media platforms. But if you want to run your own, via this dashboard, you can manage up to 20 different social media logins of yours and schedule posts, etc. So you can do as much of it as you want to do, or we can carry some of the heavy lifting for you and aggregate and add some data for you. Marketing. Make sure you're with a host that's offering you strong marketing programs that are turnkey. You need to look at programs that are set it and forget it, and that cover all types of marketing venues, whether it be direct mail or all of that in that social media. In that marketing toolbox there. Your websites, your offers negotiated by the cruise lines or travel suppliers, using the most cutting edge advanced technology like QR codes and Digimarks, and again posting for you on social, and making sure you have easy access to training. So we've made it a point to make everything super turnkey, where we train, we market, we do sales, and we offer business development coaching. And when I talked about being a detective, we've actually launched a new tool called CP Insights, and it's brand new. We're actually launching it soon, but we announced it at our conference, where we're making sure that we're developing the right message and getting it to the right people at the right time, because nothing can affect a sale more than by mailing something to someone who does not match that criteria, right? If you mail a luxury piece to someone who doesn't buy luxury, they might think you're trying to sell them something that's too expensive for what their tastes are, and you should know better. And vice versa on the other side, right? So let me tell you a little bit more about CP Insights, because it's pretty complex, and yes, it's using that awful word, big data, that you hear so much about, and it's almost scary. We've been working on this project for, over 2 years, and I'll go over it real quickly because it's too much detail, but I just wanted to kind of hopefully whet the appetite of what CP Insights could be, and what we're looking at doing with it. It's going to give us deeper insight into our agents' clients, right? Again, like I mentioned earlier, it's going to help us target the right customer with the right marketing message. And as most of you know, suppliers are cutting back on marketing dollars. They're not giving more away. So you got to figure out ways to do more with the same budget, and sometimes less in the budget. So the better you target, the less money you waste of your own dollars. So I'm going to introduce a term here, and some of you may know it, but it's called cohorts. And there you see it. It's a group of people used in a study who have something in common, and it could be anything. But we're going to talk specifically about economic cohorts, which is going to tell us what the clients are buying, what their buying patterns are, and identify their propensity to buy certain vacation types. I know that sounds like a bunch of gibberish, so let me just reiterate that. Economic cohorts is we're going to match it up. We've teamed up with a group of experts that actually study and analyze data, and they get data from credit card companies and from a bunch of different companies, and they don't tell us anything proprietary, but they do know specifically about each person based on their address. They can pull what their economic classification is, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. So here's part of what the cohorting data looks like. So when you look at this, in this category here, this is just the young people, if you look to the left, young people under 35 years of age, and it gives you these categories. So let's say an I-43, if that matched a certain client in your database, it calls them Charge It Champs Young Suburban Families, or an I-47, Material World Urban Families. So it kind of tells you a little bit more about what they do and their propensity to buy, because cruise lines and suppliers use this data as well, so they can tell us that their best segments are an I-47 and an I-48. So let me just give you a couple more examples here. Here's people in their working years, on the left, 35 to 54. And for example, an F33, a suburban stability, singles and couples. But you're going to say, but I know their age. It's in my database. I have their date of birth from their database. Well, yes, but it's telling you so much more. It's not just the age, but it's telling you more. And plus, think of people that maybe haven't bought through you. Maybe you did a bridal show. So all you know is a piece of paper they filled out. You don't know what they've sailed on before or traveled on before. Maybe you've had them check a list. But this is actually going to tell you their buying propensity. So imagine what you don't know about your clients or your prospects as they're about from you. So when you look at that suburban stability, singles and couples, or better yet, look at this one, the I-53, suburban success upscale families. Now, Can't you see yourself now working with, let's say, an upscale family, so a Disney, perhaps, marketing piece? And maybe you don't have to buy 5,000 pieces. Maybe you just mail 50 because you've been able to identify people in your database that match that so perfectly. Again, I know I'm geeking out on data here, but hopefully you're seeing and it's causing some interest. Again, here on the retired 65-plus-year-olds, I know you're all looking for these right here, the elite and wealthy. Oops, sorry. Right, the P70 slush funds, wealthy urban seniors, or P71 diamonds and pearls, wealthiest retirees. I'll tell you right now, that's the perfect crystal customer, especially when you're looking at the new Crystal Air product. So these are great ways to identify. Maybe that client hasn't bought that from you yet because all you knew is this one family reunion cruise that they booked on. But that wasn't really their choice. It's because they were the aunt and the uncle that wanted to go on a family reunion, not so much the product itself. So I think it's super exciting. We're digging really deep into this now to launch this to our cruise planner agents shortly in the next couple of months. So we're working away on this. There's actually a meeting going on in the other boardroom right now about this. So it's a great way to market to people. And it does make you kind of stop and think, wouldn't it be great info to have, again, not just on people that are in your database, but those of you that are doing shows, and hopefully you are. We encourage our agents to do lots of consumer shows and bridal shows, et cetera, and networking. You don't know anything about those customers. This data that aggregates, it appends to the profile. So just to give you a visual, not that you know our software, but you're looking at a profile of a customer. Their name is Dan Hicks. This is the address. This is the phone number. Maybe that's all you know about them, or date of birth. We now will go out to the third-party company, append the data, and it'll attach what codes apply to Dan Hicks' profile and tell us what to market to him. So hopefully that causes some curiosity, I know, on our end, and Dan makes fun of me because I geek out with stuff like this to make sure, again, we're marketing the right thing and making sure that our marketing has a good return on investment. So we're super excited about that. This CP Insights program, again, by investing in it, we're realizing that we're going to now obviously do the right message to the right person at the right time. And I repeat that because it's so important, and the more we talk about it, the more it kind of really resonates with people, is to make sure, you don't want to receive constant ads about a Volkswagen if all you want to ever drive or ever buy is a BMW. So it's a waste of that Volkswagen company's marketing. So over here, we're constantly looking at ways that we can leverage data to give our agents an advantage. And yes, sometimes we walk into our IT room and that's what the board looks like, except they don't use chalk anymore. We believe that if we provide an amazing level of detail, it makes our agents more effective as a travel agent. So we thought if we could leverage more of the power of that data we're collecting, we could create something even more unique. So another tool that we have that we're super excited about is called CP View, where we introduced at our convention in November. It's a lot of information on the screen, but I'll just give you some basics here. Here's how to work. Our agents can run an actual search within our system, and this icon up here, it's like an insights icon. And from that, they can click on it and see, it'll display a new section. It's called CP View. So let me just show you a closer look at that. There's CP View. I'll take off all that background stuff. At the top, it's called the popularity meter, and it shows how popular this sailing is amongst all the customers for this sailing booked by cruise planners agents. So obviously, those of you on the call, you know that we're a large franchise organization. So we have a lot of data that aggregates up. So it's giving us good information as far as who, for the most part, has purchased that same sailing over the last few years. It's going to show the average age of the passengers based on who's been sold to throughout our entire network, and the average fare and total also shows based on what folks paid for the first and second passenger for the sailing. So it's giving you some good data as far as who's a good client for this. We have some other interesting statistics that show the relative age of the travelers on the sailing, as well as the average price paid by category. Now, not every sailing will have information to be shown because we haven't maybe sold that itinerary yet, or that sailing, maybe it's a new itinerary, but as data accumulates, we'll have more of that intelligence there. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on this call, but I did want to kind of share the fact of having this data. And you can see there the age breakdown, the rate breakdowns, and the really cool thing that we love it for, especially for either a new agent or someone who's been around, is it actually suggests clients in their database that match that criteria. So the popularity is, you know, average age, fair, whatever, but then it actually uses that intelligence and a bunch of algorithms and stuff that I glaze over with the hows. It suggests people in their database that actually match that criteria, which you can see there in that white box. And you can either click to view them more, or you can create some other stuff with you. So I'll show you. From here, you can actually see at the bottom that you can click on Build a Cruise Sheet, which is like a virtual flyer, or send an electronic brochure. So super easy. It populates all the information, and it sends right from there, which I'm not going to get into too much more detail, but those client cruise sheets are even bookable. So once received by the client, if they wanted to book that offer, that rate that we proposed, it's actually bookable, and it'll reprice real time. In the event that person didn't open their email right away, and they open it 3 days later, it'll reprice real time. So again, you're not caught with a stale bid. For new agents, it's a really great feature as well, because it gives you a starting point. It helps you gauge what's a good rate, what's not a good rate. Because maybe you just came into the business and you don't really know, you know, am I going to pitch this to someone and someone's going to go, gosh, but I thought it was cheaper somewhere else or whatever. So it kind of gives you a little comfort zone that this is a rate that's been popular on this type of sailing and ship. For seasoned agents, that's great as well. You may come across a great deal or an amazing itinerary. Sorry, I got too fast-fingered there. Or an amazing itinerary, but you know, you don't have the time to look for your customers all the way through your database. You can run a report to find the right customers. But with this tool, you can actually, it'll serve up, like I mentioned, the customers right there and help you generate new business. So again, this is super exciting. It was super well received at our conference. Again, this is just a little snapshot of it, and we can obviously show you more intents to it if you want to look at more detail into the franchise. Another really cool tool, there's several out there that are similar to this, but what we did was we took the best practices of all of those other tools and created our own, and it's called Trip Summary. And it's exactly that. It helps you create a very gooey, good-looking, you know, easy user interface of someone's trip. So it allows our agents to create beautiful, custom, completely personalized itineraries for their clients on every trip they book. And you can see here, it's usable on web, smartphones, tablets, phablets, and yes, there is such thing as a phablet. You know what a phablet is, Dan? No. Phablet is my big phone, because they've crossed over from being a phone to a tablet, and they're still too big, so they're phablets. But it's mobile responsive, so if the screen has to be smaller or bigger, it adjusts, which is really cool and slick. But here's a couple of examples. So each trip summary is organized by events and dates. So you can see here, we were booking a Marriott Marquis hotel, whatever, and it's all database driven, so you can just pick the hotel from, as you start entering it, it gives you options, gives you addresses, lets you easily import photos. You can add images, or you can pull them right from the database of every piece of your trip. By using location data, we actually create an interactive map which allows your clients to see exactly where they're going on their trip down to the specific address. So they can actually pinpoint their whole trip there. I think Brian, who did this trip, ate a lot throughout New York City. I see a lot of forks and knives. Sounds like mine. Speaking of any device, Trip Summary is designed to scale properly, like I mentioned earlier, to fit on any type of device, including smartphones, etc. And it's a super easy interface. You can pretty much see here, you'll be able to change out virtually all the images to make it more personalized if you want to put the family's photo in there or a specific thing that they like. But again, all of it's easy to use, WYSIWYG, if you will. What you see is what you get. You can see some data and content comes through from databases about the hotel, even specifics to what kind of amenities the hotel has. You can add a cruise to it and add post hotels. You can modify all the details of the itinerary and add notes to your clients for each day of the trip. For cruises, it will automatically create points on the map for their destinations. One of the things I used for it on a family reunion vacation was I made dinner reservations in specialty restaurants, so I put that in the notes on the respective dates. I made excursions with outside companies, and I cut and paste the contact information of my driver that would be waiting for me that day so that everyone in the group had access to it. So it's a really cool way to share a trip. And one more thing I'll throw to you with that is it's all web-based, and virtual, you can share that link with a whole group of people, whether it be 8 cabins, 32 cabins, 140 cabins. So it's a great way for everyone to have an active link to their itinerary for the entire trip, not just their cruise itinerary. And if things change, they change LMA News. So when you make a change, let's say they just bought that short excursion, you add it in there. Every time they go to that link, that information is there for them. And it's printable as a PDF. So if they want to take it with them, that's great as well. So it's really versatile and great to use. Again, I know I'm going fast on these, just want to share a few. Vendor confirmations, not a very exciting name, but we know that as travel agents, you book travel through a lot of different mediums. Whether it be a flight from Delta, or a car from Hertz, or a hotel from Marriott, right? You routinely get emailed the confirmations from the vendor, and then it's up to you to accurately enter them into our back-end software, if you guys are using client-based, et cetera, that you can include it in your customer's invoice so that we can pay, we can pay our commissions. Well, we've always thought of how do we make their jobs easier? How do we make that data entry point easier? That's what we often hear as a struggle, and I'm sure I'll hear some amens out there, for the travel agent as a job, is that there's so many moving parts and data entry because everything's all over the place. Well, we found a way, to handle vendor confirmation. So what will happen with them? What will happen is we'll save you tons of time. Sorry, I had a video here that I had to cut out because it wouldn't work on the call. But you'll be able to forward that vendor confirmation to our back-end software. This is the work of magic. We provide a special email address, and all of that information on that vendor confirmation gets put into the back-end software automatically. It reads those data points. So this was overwhelming hurrahs and hoorays on this one, and this was already up and running, and it works great. For some of you that are using tools like TripIt and stuff, that does that as well, but that's going to TripIt. We've done it to run to our back end. So a cruise planner agent from their desktop or their iPhone or iPad, all of this stuff automatically becomes part of that client's booking with no more further entry. They can check it to make sure it's accurate, but it's a great time saver. So we're super happy about it. I know they are thrilled about it. And for the most part, I know I ran through a bunch of different details there. We're looking to make sure that we're creating tools to keep travel agents ahead in our industry. We obviously, our cruise planner agents, it's a lot of technology, but we make sure that we have the back office support of our business development coaches that are there to help them with the tools. We often see best practices in our agents that take on tools a little bit at a time. Let me learn these 3 and then get to know them really well and learn a few more. But there's so many more. Again, didn't want to overwhelm with too much information, but I want to just kind of show some to you guys there. And this is kind of a little bit of before we wrap up into questions, but we want to talk about some of the things that, why would you join Cruise Planners? And Dan, why don't you take that one?
Well, I think it just goes back to making sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right host for how you want to grow your business, because we know that people get into the travel business for different reasons, whether it's a full-time job, whether it's a plan B, whether it's part-time. Many of you probably could be full-time and looking to grow your business, which is why you joined us today. We pride ourselves in our technology, as Vicky said, our marketing, our business development coaching, our support system, our 6-day training program that we have. We've just launched our new virtual associate program. So if you have associates that you want to bring with you, you don't have to have the expense of having them come down to attend our physical training here in Fort Lauderdale. We have a 11-day online training program for associates, which is just launching this month, actually, which is great. We do franchise surveys to make sure that our franchisees stay happy with us, and consistently ranked #1 in category for the 6th year in a row for 2017 by Franchise Business Review. And that's independent third-party surveys of our franchisees on how we help them grow their business, on the ownership of the company, the management direction, the training, the business development support, the marketing, how they rank themselves financially compared to where they plan to be at this time in their career. And consistently, we've been ranked #1 in category over any of our competitors based on franchise satisfaction. So for those that know and have seen cruise planners in the industry, we've been around for 23 years, going on 24. We are out there. We are, as Vicky and Michelle would say, the square in the round hole, first to come up with anything, and the things that you've seen today are way ahead of what's out there right now. And if you are looking to align yourself with a great partner, we're here for you, and would probably like to open it up and take some questions.
Yep.
All right. Right now, okay, everybody, I'm going to have you start posting your questions. I do have 2 to start with, so let's see if we can get some more. There was one agent who is asking, will there be a way to search for cruises by using the demographic info of your clients to find them possible matches if the client really doesn't know what they want, but wants to travel with people of similar demographics of their own?
So if I understand the correction, the address correctly, the question correctly. Yeah. So once with this new tool with the CT Insights, they'll be able to search in their database for people that have certain profiles. So we will have identified these profiles, the I-73s and all that stuff, and we're going to provide some guidance on it to say, look, these are great people for a Princess Suite promotion. These are great people for Princess but long itineraries, but this one's a great person for just 7 days because maybe they're younger or whatever, the financial tax. So we'll be able to help with the classification as well as with the company that we're using. They're helping us pigeonhole some of those as well. So once this data is appended to each profile, they'll be able to search for those.
Is this information coming solely from the information that you are putting into your client base, or is it coming from another source? So
the cohorted data comes from a third-party source that are experts in cohorting and doing economic cohorts especially. So they give us the information. So we provide the secure list. They then append it and add the cohorted segment to it. And it comes back into your database.
Got it. This question, if it says vague to you, Vicky and Dan, as it is to me, because I have a question mark on my forehead when I'm reading it, just ask and I'll have that person enter it in the box. Her question is, how much data history do you have for the trip models?
Yeah, I don't understand what the trip models are.
I'll see if she'll put something in.
It might have been, if it's for CP View, I'm talking through it, which was where it showed the popularity thing on top, and it gave us data as far as what's been purchased. We went back 3 years. So 3 years worth of data collectively of our 1,500 plus franchisees booking data.
Okay, that might be it. Yeah, she said, okay, yep, she just answered the question, so there you go. All right, that was the last question I have on the right now. In fact, this person just said thank you.
Great. Well, I know that Dan was feeling generous today. He wanted to get a $50 American Express gift card. So, Lorraine, if you can help us pick someone randomly there of those still on the call.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to scroll random. And the random name that came up is Karen Walworth. It's W-A-L-W-O-R-T-H. So, Karen, congratulations. What I'm going to do is email your information to Vicky and Dan, and I will let you guys coordinate regarding this. That's pretty awesome, a $50 Amex card. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And Karen, we'll be in touch. I did want to say, because we have it posted on here, the franchise fee is as low as $695. It's actually, it can be free, depending on your sales volume. So if you do have interest, and please feel free to reach out to us via cruiseplannersfranchise.com and put in your request for some information. We'll reach out to you and see if we can qualify you for a free franchise.
Awesome.
All right.
Perfect. All right. Those are the questions that I had. Is there anything else you guys would like to do to wrap up? I know you have contact information to put up, how to reach you, and if anybody has more questions, I'll be happy to read them for you.
If we're good. Again, I kind of went through it fast, and to add to it, I'm Cuban and I talk fast. But I know I didn't want to go into too much detail, but I did want to share, because we're so excited about these tools, and we know that there's not a whole lot of that out in the marketplace. And I want to reemphasize the fact that we don't just throw the tools at you. We're here to help you support and learn how to use them and walk you through it and keep you engaged and wanting to do it. So we're behind you. We don't sell travel from this office. So 100% of our 100 employees here are committed to helping our franchisees grow their business. If they don't sell, we don't pay payroll. So it's a pretty good rationale for anyone looking to join us. So I'd welcome you guys to call or go to cruiseplannersfranchise.com or call the number on the slide there, and we'd be happy to talk you through it.
Got it. One of the questions that just came up is for people who are interested in beginning a franchise, how much experience as being a travel agent would you recommend, or do you have a component it's for someone who is brand new in the industry?
You know, our agents come from all walks of life. We have professional travel agents who were independent, who realized that they just couldn't keep up with themselves and they needed to partner with a powerhouse like Cruise Planners. We have stay-at-home moms, we have doctors, we have nurses, we have attorneys. We had a funeral home director.
We had a Santa Claus.
So you don't need any experience at all. And again, this is a great opportunity for people looking for a new career, full-time, part-time, a plan B, something to do on nights and weekends. One of our highest producers in the country was an auto mechanic who did this from his auto garage on nights and weekends. So you don't have to have experience at all.
Got it. Perfect. I do know that from experience with the two of you that you were huge NACTA supporters, and that is always appreciated because it really does show the level of interest and commitment to being able to support the home-based travel agent, which is wonderful. And I know that you guys, you've been wonderful to work with for the last several years, and I look forward to continuing to that relationship. And thank you again for all of your support, for taking your time in your day, for being on this call. And thank you, everybody, for being here also. And don't forget, I will send you this recording tomorrow. And also, Karen, I will connect you with Vicky and Dan later today. All right? Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Stay warm and safe and dry, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.